Hello, everybody. This is Richard Blake, and I am sending out this broadcast to announce that soon I will be returning to doing my podcast Bealoideas Anois, Folklore Now. For those of you who aren't sure what Bealoideas Anois is, that simply is the Irish language way of saying the term Folklore Now. If there are any Irish speakers who are listening to this, please forgive me if I butchered the word Bealoideas. That is, I think, how you pronounce it, judging by what I've studied. However, I have never heard an Irish speaker say the word. So any Irish speakers, correct me if you wish to help me out in that regard. I started this podcast, Bealoideas Anois, when I was a student at Utah State University, where I got a kind of interest in doing broadcasting because though I was an English major, folklore department area is in the English department there at Utah State, but of course folklore involves a lot of things that aren't necessarily written down, so I realized that working with audio things or talking to people, hearing audio stories that people have to say, those are really important culturally, and through a folklore perspective, there are all kinds of things that are really important. Since folklore does involve a lot of things, and at the moment I am just working with audio, there will be limits as to what areas of folklore I will be able to work on. However, given time, I am hoping that I will be able to find a place and time that I can create more video type file things that I could really do a better job in presenting cultural significant things. One of the things that I think I've really appreciated with the lockdowns and the COVID things that have happened is how everything has changed. Not completely everything, but how many things have changed as a result of the COVID lockdowns and the way that different governments and different cultures have been forced to adapt to it. One thing that every folklorist really has to understand is that cultures do change due to various types of things. A lot of times it has to do with the evolution of things around them. Obviously, COVID is one of those significant things. And the way people interact with each other has completely changed. In some respects, a lot of it we are trying to get back to normal, but that is going to take some time. And even if we do get ourselves back to normal, so to speak, there are some permanent things that will have been changed. Not all change is bad and not all change is good. I'm just hoping that we'll be able to truly appreciate, though, things that make us unique as well as things that bring us together. I fear that there's just been a lot of emphasis too much on what makes everybody too different from someone else. I do really like to involve myself into what makes people different, but I also want to make sure that everyone knows that I understand that, as human beings or people who are part of a specific region or culture, or whether it's a religious or a national thing, there are things that will bring us together as well as things that make us different. But the things that make us different do not necessarily mean that they have to be blown out so much that we can't interact or we cannot talk to each other and get along. I think that having this podcast and talking about these kinds of things is really important. One thing that I'm going to, of course, attempt is I hope I will be able to talk to and interview some people here in the near future. If you have listened to any of my prior podcasts, it was only the first few podcasts that I was able to get people to interview, and that was basically because we were all on the same campus, and most of the people I talked to were fellow students and folklorists. All of us have graduated and moved on to other places, but I really want to be able to hear about people's stories, things that they have to say, their experiences, people of all kinds. I mean, I'd love to talk to people who have experience, are you sailors, you're truckers, police officers, firefighters, or other first responders, anyone who's in the military, or if you are sailors. And there are stories that come up because of cultural or group organization things that you could talk about or that you'd be willing to talk about. I really want to hear your stories. So, and especially with how things have been the last year as it relates to different people and different groups, different cultural groups. I think that a lot of times certain groups, do have some stigmas put on them for one reason or another. And I think that it would be important to talk to some people in those groups to kind of get their own personal stories so that we can really appreciate what those people have to offer us. Not everything that we disagree with is necessarily, really bad. It's just someone else's perspective. And so I really would love to be able to talk to anyone who would like to share some of the stories and the experiences they've had. Everyone has had their own unique story to tell. The types of people, the people who are traveling a lot or the people who stay at home, they are all going to have different experiences, and they aren't necessarily going to understand everything that people in another group really have to go through or why they feel the way they do. So I guess that's pretty much what I have to say here as an introduction, but I really would love to hear what people have to say. I have a YouTube channel that is set up for Folklore Now and an email address. I'm also hoping that I could be able to present these things on other social media outlets like most of these are going to go on YouTube probably before they go elsewhere, though I'm going to see if I can just move it from my audio file to other things as well so that everything is not just beholden to YouTube. I have a Facebook page dedicated to my research and my work as a folklorist and other areas of things that I don't want to go into right now because there's too many. That is facebook.com/cfolkrich. The YouTube channel, it's just my name, Richard Blake. There's a billion Richard Blakes, however, on there. I kind of wish I could have changed the YouTube channel name so that people could zero in on it easier. If I could make that Folklore Now page, that would be great. I'll have to see if I can fix that. But right now it's just Richard Blake, and I'll have the hyperlink to it on the YouTube channel that I put this on, and I will also put it on, of course, on the bottom of every social media outlet that I put this on. Each of the social media outlets has their own ways of doing their, posting things or doing things live on their feeds and everything. And so until I can find a way that I can work everything together, if I could have every one of those social things going on live at the same time I'm recording it, that would be great. But at the moment, it seems that the only way I can do certain things live is if I use my phone to do it, and that would be really complicated to try and have a whole bunch of apps on at the same time, recording at the same time. Anyone have any great ideas? I'd love to hear about it. I hope everybody is doing well, and as we are coming into this 2022 year, I'm hoping everyone has some nice and happy resolutions that they are digging themselves into. Me personally, I am going to be boosting up my efforts to pretty much delve into cultural things and to do work with my writing and broadcasting so that I could really show my appreciation for other people and the cultures that are around us, and also to help people to understand that there are so many things out there all around us that we do not always realize are there, and it's the job of the folklorist often to point those things out to you, whether you like them or not, unfortunately. But anyway, there's so many things that are going on that you may not notice around you. And so I'm hoping that I could be able to also pull out a few things to help you to think and contemplate why it is something exists or where it came from. So I will talk again later, Slán go fóill, and I'll see you at my podcast, Bealoideas Anois.